Hello, welcome to today's vlog. We are diving into the magical world of Roald Dahl today with a fully themed day that is celebrating both the author and his works. We're going to start with a fantastic museum adventure, learning more about Dahl, his characters and his legacy, as well as visiting his grave and some local sites that influenced his writing. Later I'm going to enjoy a cosy afternoon with some inspired literary themed baking, and if you also love Dahl, you won't want to miss today's vlog because it's full of imagination and nostalgia. Please do also consider hitting like and subscribe because I will be making more videos that involve literary lifestyle content and visiting some of the best museums and places that we can go to celebrate authors we love. The Roald Dahl Museum is situated in a gorgeous, picturesque little village called Great Missenden, and this is in the Charlotteshelves in Buckinghamshire. I actually have family that live locally, and we still hadn't managed to arrange a trip to go visit this museum, so I was so excited because it was long overdue, and I absolutely adore Roald Dahl. From where I live, the journey took about an hour and a half, and it was such a gloriously sunny day. It was the first day where some of the heat that we've been having recently had broken, and there was a nice breeze, and it meant exploring the village was that much more enjoyable. The first site is this library that inspired Matilda in Roald Dahl's beloved book. This is the real village library that Dahl knew well, located in Great Missenden, and it's where Matilda discovers the joy of reading and starts to escape into books. I thought it was super cool to see that library. I had no idea that the library that Matilda frequented in that book was a real location, so it's amazing to see it in real life and see how it inspired that story. The village is so picturesque and pretty, and here we are. This is the museum with that gorgeous BFG illustration painted on the side of it. The museum itself is located in a historic period property that is a former coaching inn. The museum I think opened in 2005 but was originally started in 2001. This was by Dahl's surviving widow, Licky Dahl, and she wanted to create an independent charity that they state is to foster creativity and literacy through celebrating Dahl's life and works. This first room covers a lot to do with Dahl's childhood and young adulthood. As you can see, there's photographs everywhere, and there's so much that you get to learn additionally about Dahl. As we move through the museum, you'll see how well they blend both the autobiographical and biographical elements of Dahl's life with the fantastical world of his writing and his characters and his stories. We get to see how interconnected the events of Dahl's life become with his works and how they influenced his writing and how he sought so much creativity from the material of his life. This next glorious space covers the time that Dahl served as a fighter pilot in the RAF. This was during World War II, and he flew in missions as far as the Middle East and Greece, and they touch on the fact that after being injured in a crash in Libya, he was reassigned to Washington DC, where he began his writing career, but he also worked in the intelligence sector. There are some really great photographs here from the archives of him with various famous people and various literary figures. There's a really great photograph of Dahl's children's bedrooms which have silver balls floating and sort of hanging above the beds, and this was from Norwegian folklore, and they are meant to capture the reflections of witches and then capture the witches as a result of that. It made me think about the influence of Norwegian folklore on Dahl's own stories because he very famously wrote a story called The Witches. Next we have my favourite part of the museum, which is Roald Dahl's writing hut, which was relocated from his family home where he wrote most of his works to this museum, and they show you all the steps they took to try and replicate it perfectly so that it was exactly as it had stood in its original location versus how it had been placed again in the museum. The story of how they had replicated and reassembled the hut so that it was 100% accurate to how it would have been in Roald Dahl's garden versus how it was situated in the museum was fascinating, and I think they did a gorgeous job. It was so cool to see it as it would have been when he wrote all these incredible and famous children's stories. There is something quite captivating about knowing that that is the hut and the space in which so much of children's literary magic was created, and to see it in the museum repurposed here was such a delight. The next section was also fascinating because they touched a lot on Matilda, which is my favourite book, and you actually got to see photographs of who Dahl had based the original Trunchbull character on. If you look at her costume in the books and in the film adaptations, like, Quentin Blake captured that so well. Like, I had no idea she was a real person, and that letter also talks about her too. It's just another example of Dahl drawing on influences from his real life and drawing those into his works. The next stop was this story centre, and this had a more educational purpose. There were interactive activities and things that children and adults could enjoy and play with and do. This section had also set up and replicated Dahl's famous writing hut, but as an interactive experience, so you could pretend to sit in the writing chair like Dahl, and he had made himself this makeshift writing board that he would prop himself up with, and he would use a suitcase for a footstool, and he'd have a sleeping bag across his legs to keep himself warm because the hut was very cold in the cooler winter months, and that's what this clip here is showing you, how he would stay warm and cosy. And you actually get to sit in the chair, and I had to have a little go of pretending to be Ms. Dahl. This was heavier than it looks. I can't imagine a child being able to easily lift that onto themselves, but I gave it a good go. There's also a myriad of different copies of Dahl's works that children can sit and read in this lovely little cosy corner and just enjoy them. That is basically it. I haven't filmed every nook and cranny because I still want you to be able to go and enjoy it and still have some surprises for yourself. There is plenty more to see and do that I did not capture in this video, so please do not think it's not worth your time, because it truly, truly is. I just wanted to add that there's far more to see and do here. I just didn't capture it all because I also wanted to be present and try and enjoy it too. Also, this gift shop was so cute. I could have come away with lots more than I did, but I was actually quite restrained on this occasion. Having spent a couple of hours here in the morning, we decided to go walk back through the village and find somewhere to have a spot of lunch. So we stopped at this little cafe and I had a really yummy brunch with my friend. We also decided to open the mystery packet of sweets that we had bought while we were at the museum, and these were all kind of nostalgic children's penny sweets and things like that. The next stop that we wanted to go to was to visit Roald Dahl's grave. Now, it's about a 15-minute walk from the museum to it, and the route that it was located in was on our way home. So we decided to drive there and then head off on our way home from the grave. I will say it isn't signposted. It's not hard to find, but you have to walk down a semi-steep hill, and then it's sort of halfway down the middle of it. It's kind of hard to explain. You should be able to get a gist of where it is from this clip, but that's his grave. After this, we decided to head home, where I was going to have a big old cup of tea and start my afternoon of baking. We are back from the Roald Dahl Museum and our little day out. I am just making myself a cup of tea. I picked up a couple of bits in the gift shop. I was quite restrained, and they had some really nice editions of, well, all of his books really. It was I don't know if it's Penguin or who it was by, but they were sort of white with a really classy kind of gold spine and detail on them. And I had to say to myself, you don't need them, you don't need them. I had a really sweet Matilda jigsaw puzzle that I nearly picked up and I didn't. I did get two really sweet cards, really nice paper too. So I got this one of Matilda, you can see that. I might just frame these and not actually gift them to anyone because they're so cute. And then I also got one of my favourites, which is the twins. So I got this, which is fantastic, Mr. Dahl, and it's a sort of lighter YA biography of Roald Dahl himself, written by Michael Rosen, who I thought this was quite a nice way to learn a bit more about his life. He has written 2 autobiographies, Boy and Going Solo, which I have read, so it'd be interesting to see if he builds on those stories or things that we haven't previously learned about Dahl. This wasn't from the Roald Dahl gift shop, but I picked myself up a proper chocolate bar because I fancied this with a cup of tea when I got in, and a nice classic kind of chocolate bar just reminded me of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I'm looking forward to eating that while having my tea. Also picked up some additional butter because I want to make short crust pastry, because what I would like to do sort of today and tomorrow is try to recreate a gorgeously buttery and filling blueberry pie with some extra thick whipped cream on the side, because it reminds me of Fruity Salt in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I'd like to recreate that pie, and I would really like to try and replicate a pudding as a sort of ode to my love for Roald Dahl this weekend. After I've made the pastry, I thought I would really like to watch a movie adaptation. I am thinking Matilda, because that was my childhood favourite book and childhood favourite adaptation. I think Danny DeVito's version of it is phenomenal, and I was feeling like that'd be such a nice, happy, feel-good movie to pop on later this evening, so I'm probably going to watch Matilda. So we are baking a blueberry pie today, and I will pop the recipe in the video description. It's just from the Good Food Guide, and this is me making short crust pastry. They advise that you freeze your butter in advance to help with the pastry, and I think that's a really good tip because this pastry turned out super buttery and cooked really evenly all the way through. I had reduced the ingredients by about half or 1/3 because I was making a pie only for 2 of us. The original recipe states it could feed about 12 to 14 portions worth, and I didn't want to make a pie that large. So if it's looking a little small, don't worry, this is just meant to be portions for 2 people. Now that I've combined those ingredients and I've kneaded it all together to make my dough, that's going in the fridge for a couple of hours to cool down. We're now starting on the pie filling. I realised I was 100 grams short of the blueberries that I needed, but we had a whole punnet of fresh cherries, so I added in an extra 100 grams or so of cherry to go with this, and it tasted amazing. You'll soon see. The pie filling also needed to sit in the fridge for a couple of hours because all that sugar and lemon juice and the corn flour is going to make a kind of slurry and help break down some of that fruit and bring out a lot of those juices. Yum! I'm going to fit in a quick, gentle workout because this heat is driving me bananas, but I'm still going to try and work out, and then I'll work up a real appetite so that I can have a slice of pie after dinner, and I will share that with you. So it is a little bit later and we're going to assemble our pie. You can see I've had a shower and I've got my little nightshirt on, and I'm just making a post-dinner pudding. This pastry is not enough. I've been planning to use a really sweet little 2-person pie dish that I then found out my other half had taken to work and left there, and I didn't have another dish that I could bake a 2-person pie in. All of my pie dishes are massive. So I did the best with what I had, made my pie, and I decided I was going to pop on Matilda. This is one of my favourite Roald Dahl adaptations for the screen, and it's just such a childhood favourite, and it still stands the test of time. It is such a feel-good movie. Here I am just whipping up the cream to go with the pie as it's nearly ready, and there it is! She looks a little rustic, but she tasted incredible. I will show you in a sec. Going to taste a bite. I've got my pie. It's bloody hot. Whoop. That is so nice. Holy heck. I thought it would taste really tart because blueberries are quite sharp at the moment. That is so good. Holy heck. My battery died. Sorry, I don't know what I was saying. I feel like in England, or at least in my family, a lot of the pies that we make are generally like apple pie. Apple pie is really common. Near where I live, there's an annual apple festival. We don't generally make a lot of blueberry pies, so this is such, I mean, it looks like chaos, doesn't it? That looks like real kind of bloody carnage, but this tastes amazing. Like, I would 1000% make this again and use the right pie dish this time. But there's so much flavour. Let's take our pie and go finish watching Matilda. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching today's video. Let me know what your favourite Roald Dahl book is, and also let me know if you visited the museum. Please also like, comment, subscribe. I will have more videos like this soon and coming for you shortly. Bye!